This is an interesting anti-piracy ad from Japan, but it's in Japanese and I have to use some AI translations for it. Even 100 years from now, will manga and anime still save us? Well, as long as people keep on making them and not putting them on indefinite hiatus. In every era, heroes and heroines have been born one after another, captivating us completely. Do not let that history be cut short now. Implying that it will be cut short because of piracy, which is not always the case for a lot of work going on hiatus or never receiving any continuations. The future of manga and anime, it's you who will save it! It's quite the appeal to emotion by showing off all these amazing and iconic characters while saying that their future lies on you as consumers because you're the one that buys these manga. You're the one who keeps the industry alive. Well, no, we're just one part of the equation. The simple truth is, it is not our job as customers to support the creators. It is actually the job of the publishers. You are the ones who should be marketing, distributing, and selling the products that they make. These artists are not always the best businessmen. They don't know how to sell their product to the masses, but you do. This is your job. And this ad just makes the customers feel guilty about not being able to sell your products. Why do you think those customers chose to pirate? Is it because they don't want to pay for the product? Yes, but it can also be because the product is not officially distributed. I have the Detective Conan Special Edition one-shots that are made by Aoyama Gosho's assistants. I grew up with these stories. There are some amazing bangers there, but I don't see these being distributed internationally. Not even on pirated sites. Only the local Indonesian publishers publish these. Creative works do not fail because of customers that pirate. They fail because of publishers that fail to publish, distributors that fail to distribute, sellers that fail to sell, executives that fail to support the creators of these wonderful creative works that people deserve to see. It's all on them, and their failures are not your sin. Japan's anti-piracy campaign is just another form of advertisement, one that guilt-trips you and painting you as the bad guy for not buying manga and anime by showing you all these heroes and heroines that would have had their stories stopped if it weren't for your support. This is the last part of the ad, and it deserves some scrutiny. Stop pirated editions. Profits from pirated works that are published or sold without permission do not return to the creators. No, they generally don't. But that is only one side of the story. Profits from official versions do not go back to the creators either. Not directly, at least. Most light novels, manga, and anime creators have publishers. They're the ones that got the profits first before they go to the creators. A lot of times, the publishers got most of the revenue instead of the original creators, unless they are doujins and go through independent publishing. The harsh reality that all creators should face is that customers do not have a responsibility to support the creators. The same way you, the viewers of this video, do not have a responsibility to support me as a creator. That is a privilege that I have to earn by making something worthy of your support. Do you know who does have a responsibility to support the creators? The publishers, the corporations that market and sell these creative products. That's why they're guilt-tripping you with all these heroes and heroines in this anti-piracy ad. And yes, it is absolutely just another form of ad, except instead of offering you amazing and cool-looking products, it makes you feel guilty for not buying them. Do not ever feel guilty for not buying products that these companies cannot convince you to buy. Speaking of books, I'm glad that in a world where technology is dominating everything, people are going back to some good old reading. But even reading got some interesting hooplas. 2026 is when the pendulum starts going backwards. Back then, women were complaining that too many gamers are men. Now, men are complaining too many book readers are women. I joined a local book club. The gender balance is wild. Yes. That's what happens when most people who read books are women. The market caters to them. And yes, this is normal. It's about as normal as saying most gamers are men. My first time in a bookstore in years, and it's all just feminized woke slop. Yeah, I don't know what you expect from these bookstores. Of course, they're gonna be filled with books that cater to women. This is like going to a game store and get shocked that most games are balls and guns. Even so, the books that you're showing are the ones on sale, so you don't have to buy them. You can just move to other sections in the bookstores, like the manga section. Heck, I see Virgin Knight right there. At the very back of the store is a small corner for history, philosophy, and politics, and some liberal intentionally flipped around all the books from Victor Davis Hanson and Charlie Kirk. I suspect books by Charlie Kirk and books about politics in general are not gonna sell that much for the mainstream crowds. Also, how to beat the woke and save the West? You anti-woke people can't even save bookstores from being infested with feminized woke slop. How are you going to save the West? Sitting on your ass doom-scrolling garbage? Complaining about markets being filled with products that you're not gonna buy anyway? Oh wow, the irony. No wonder why the right-wing anti-woke books are put in a corner. You're not buying books as much as the liberals do. Personally, I ditch all these fantasy and anti-woke slop and return to some good old manga, like this medical manga called White Tower that I saw in a bookstore a while back, but there's no English translation on the manga, not in the original novel that it was based on, and they're not available on the 7 Seas. I haven't even read it, but it is crazy how a lot of foreign works are still untranslated and unpublished to the international crowds like that. It is rather interesting to see the presence of authors, creators, and developers being anti-woke, but the ones that are on my radar are producing garbage. I remember this hoopla a while back last year. There's a game called Code Violet who takes a stance against PC because they don't want their game Code Violet to be modded to have vulgar versions of the main character. It is hilarious in hindsight considering that the game, a survival horror Dino Crisis-like, allows you to dress Violet in however ways you like, even in the most vulgar ways. It is absolute nonsense when they say that they hold their voice actresses and actors with high regard. It doesn't seem like that way if you play the game, but I don't recommend you play the game anyway because the game is trash. It's awful. But hey, at least they're making fun of the wokes, right? I never said I was buying it. I am saying it's hilarious that the devs chose to make it exclusive because bots don't buy games and PC geeks are perverts. Yeah, I too find it hilarious that despite the PS5 exclusivity and the game costing $50 for it, the game is a critical failure. Also, calling PC geeks perverts when the game developers themselves allow you to dress the main character in provocative ways is quite hilarious indeed. Here's another game that takes the anti-woke position, even though they really shouldn't. There's this game called Nike's Path that popped up in my timeline. It seems to be just a low fantasy medieval action RPG made by what appears to be just two dudes. What got this game to my timeline is the developer's response to an admittedly stupid request. I hope you'll have some LGBTQ representation in the game. Why? Why would we need LGBTQ representation in a game like this? I genuinely cannot fathom the needs of begging for representation like this other than attention seeking and trying to get validation for simply being LGBT. It's up to the developers if they want to add LGBT characters or not. I personally would add them to my games, but that's because it's my creative decision, and I like some rainbow characters to spice things up, not because some internet social activist demands me. And yet, despite the dumb request, it is the developer's response that is even worse. We care about gaming and fun, not modern agendas. Yeah, this is a terrible response. The last thing that any reasonable business should do is to make a political statement and take a side. It does not matter which side of the politics you're taking a side on. You should not be political when you are selling an apolitical product. For the record, this text is also just as bad if they say, yes, there are LGBT representations in the game. That's just conforming to the other side. The best response to this dumb question would be no response at all. Granted, I literally did respond to it, but the difference is, I'm not trying to sell a game. I'm trying to tell you my opinions. And in my opinion, you should never have your political opinions interfere with the products that you are selling, regardless of your political stance in anything. You're here to sell products, not to support or condemn a political cause. Moving on from political gaming hooplas, let's talk about hardware gaming hooplas. Remember a while back when Jeff Bezos said that he hopes you'll give up your PC to rent one from the cloud? There are people defending that. He's saying it's more efficient. No, it's not. It would require building a lot more data centers and supercomputers. The computer is still running locally. We're just accessing it through the internet. Just run a local computer. If internet speed or latency improves, it is likely. Bro, I live in Indonesia, and the officials care more about feeding their greedy lifestyles than giving us good internet speed. Right now, you have to buy a powerful PC and graphics card that you have to upgrade. No, you don't have to upgrade. My RTX 3060 laptop has a 10th gen Intel, and it is still capable of working and making videos like the one you're watching now, while playing games that don't require a lot of hardware. I also have an RTX 4060 laptop that I use for work on travel. Again, I mostly use them for making videos like these and playing lightweight games. These two laptops do the job perfectly fine. That 7-year-old GPU is worse than integrated graphics today. Wait, what? What are the GPUs released 7 years ago? 7 years ago is the year 2019. At that time, we have the NVIDIA 10 series and the RX 500 series. Based on that information, integrated graphics are more powerful than 7-year-old entry-level GPUs like the GT 1030 and the RX 550. Ugh. However, they are not even close compared to the mid-range or even their high-end counterparts of that generation. In short, this claim is only partially true. But then again, I don't recommend anyone using the GT 1030 and the RX 550 anyway. It's a waste of money, and their driver support is ending. Who cares what those people use? What do you mean, who cares? Most people are only going to afford entry-level, mid-range, or old GPUs. Most people do care about hardware that they can afford, especially in this horrific PC hardware economy. They don't play modern games, so it's meaningless. Yeah, it's meaningless to you, modern gamer. To anyone who has a more refined taste in the gaming culture with the classics, most PCs these days can run them fine without any high-end GPUs. So buckle up and untangle yourself from the plight of modern gaming. Here's another bad gaming hardware take. I do like to take a bite on these baits a lot of times. PC gamers being priced out is justice. Apparently, this person is a satirical Sony fanboy account designed to drum up responses and clicks from people that have an instant negative reaction. It's interaction bait for the sake of profits. I recommend none of you do what I do and waste time on these people. But I will do it for 3 reasons. 1, I don't reply to people online directly, so you don't get any profits from me. 2, I profit from indirect replies, so I have every incentive to reply. And 3, this account hasn't come out and said that we're just trolling, because that would mean they have to admit that this is not what they actually think. Your knowledge starts and ends with cable management and fan speeds. Those are not bad knowledge to have, and they're not that complicating too. Real work needs those chips. Buy a PlayStation. Stop hoarding hardware. I love how you assume that we're the ones hoarding hardware. You're not a pro. You're just a gamer. Yes, get a PlayStation. You don't need anything else. No, I don't play games that much these days, but I do work a lot these days, so you can shove that PS5 back up yours, fanboy. And that's all for the video today. Here's a cat. Huge thanks to all the wonderful sponsors this week. You're all fantastic. Don't forget to check out my previous videos here. Click the like button, comment, subscribe, join the YouTube membership, leave some tips, just $1 down below. And thanks for watching.